Oh, we're back. We are back once again. Part two. Forgot to change the title. I already know I did this. Forgot to change the title. Terrible streamer. Hold on. Let's see. How do I change the title? Stream settings. Creating part two. I do this every time. Forget to change the title. We're back. Once again, we are building a box for the Hack Smarter platform. We are calling it Duet, and let's just do a little overview here. Let's go back to, so this is where we ended last stream. So we have, let's see if I can zoom in here. Whoa. Okay. So it looks a little messy, but I promise you it wasn't this messy when we were making it. In fact, let me jump over so I can see chat. Okay, or pop it out. Pop out. Just a terrible streamer. Okay, so this is where we left off last stream. We decided that we want to do a two-machine box, so it looks like this. We have our LAN here, and we have Workstation 01 and DC01 that are connected to our Kali machine. And the steps that we decided, and this was kind of I had this idea in my mind, but I wanted to get the feedback on what you guys thought, what you thought was interesting. And this is kind of what we landed on. So we start, and we're going to start with LM&R poisoning. And we decided on this because I don't think I see it as much as I should. I think in CTFs, this is like a really common foothold, or not in CTFs, but in real engagements, this is a common foothold. Just having LM&R enabled on the domain. So, oh, of course, since this is going to be a Windows Active Directory machine, thought I should clarify that. Excuse me. So we are going to start with LM&R poisoning, and we're going to listen on our Kali box with responder, and we're going to get Larry's hash. So we're going to get Larry's hash, we're going to crack it with RockU, and then we're going to find that Larry is a local user on Workstation 01, which we saw over here. So going back over. So we have Larry on Workstation 01, and we see that Larry has the SE impersonate privilege. And as we know, let me center myself. It's because I'm like leaning over my laptop, which is right here. As we know, SE impersonate privilege, not good to have. This is just an easy system shell, so we can go from Larry to a system shell on Workstation 01. But from a system shell, we can't really do much. And the idea I had is I want to do some sort of token impersonation. And so what that means is we have our other users here. And this is very unorganized, but we have our other user. We have Larry, Alice, and Billy. Obviously, we're Larry right now, and we want to pivot to Alice. And to do that, I want it to be a token impersonation attack. So logging into the workstation as Alice, that should leave behind a delegation token that we can pick up on the system shell, which then we can use to pivot. The only caveat that we discussed, and we need to make sure we are keeping track of, is once we get a system shell on Workstation 01, we can simply just hash dump, right? We can hash dump, and we can grab Alice's hash. So if Alice is going to log into this machine, if Alice is going to log into Workstation 01, her hash is going to get left behind, and therefore we can dump it and use it as Larry, or as our system shell. But we need to prevent that, because by doing the hash dump, by getting the system shell, using the hash dump, then getting Alice's hash and just simply using past the hash, we're circumventing the path here. Right? It's just an unintended method for this particular box. I really want to get token impersonation, so we need to find some way to ensure you can't dump secrets on this workstation. And that's something we're going to probably figure out in part 3 or part 4 of this series. I didn't even say what we're going to do today, but today we're actually going to start building out the machines. We're going to create the domain, and we're going to use a platform called CoreStack, which is what Tyler Ramsey uses to actually host the machines. So moving on our attack path, assuming that we can prevent hash dumping, and assuming we can successfully do token impersonation, we can then have RCE as the domain user Alice via WinRM into DCO1. Let's see here. Let me see the notes, because it's been a week since we've looked at this. So need to obtain Alice creds, Alice web. Oh, webcam. That was a separate idea. I forgot who it was, but someone left an idea in the chat last week. That was, so whenever you get a Meterpreter shell and you type help, there's a bunch of different commands that you can type. And someone left a comment or a chat saying, hey, would be really cool to use the show webcam or enable webcam feature that Meterpreter allows. And I personally have never used that feature. I've never seen it be used, but I think this is a idea for future use here. It's let me bubble that out for future use. Future use. So yeah, I've never seen this actually done in a CTF, but maybe in another box. Maybe in another box sometime later down the line, we can try that. I have no idea that what needs to happen for that attack to come through, but it'd be fun to try and make. But yes, I recall. So if we have RCE as the domain user Alice, it is simply that. We just have RCE from Workstation 01 onto DC01. However, Ocean Calendar, the heck? Thank you for randomly opening. Appreciate that. Anywho, so we have this RCE from Alice, from the system machine, from Workstation. So the problem that we ran into last week is, well, we don't really have a stable method of logging in. Like, we have RCE, but that's not really good enough. So we want to have some form of actual credential leak so that Alice can WinRM in and grab the user flag, or I guess the user flag would be here in system. But having the RCE capabilities, we determined not good enough. We want to go a little bit above and beyond and get Alice's cred somehow. And we can do that in a couple ways, which we sketched out here. So we can do, PowerShell history, we can do sharp hound, or we can do I don't even know what I wrote here. This is like somewhat detective work, trying to determine what my previous notes are saying. But I think the main idea is I want to do something with PowerShell history, because this is a really easy box. It's meant to be very beginner friendly, very easy. So while we did discuss the possibility of using SharpHound, we elected that it was a little too complicated for what I'm going for, and I want to really do PowerShell history instead. So somewhere on DCO1, probably just in Alice's, the default PowerShell history spot, we will find credentials, and then we can use those to WinRM into DCO1. And then from there, it's just going to be pretty simple to the end, just a Bloodhound dump, say, hey, Alice has DACL generic write to Billy, and Billy is the domain administrator. And it's kind of game over from there. So that is the path that we decided and went down last week. And it's kind of a mess to look at. But on my other screen here, I'm going to start the Duet domain controller, and I can probably flip over here. So this is the core stack screen. On the left here is kind of all the infrastructure, obviously the name of the machine, what it's running, who it's created by, but this is kind of the developer view, the back-end view of creating a Hack Smarter machine. So we started the machine. It may take some time to boot up here, but the first steps that we're going to be doing are going to be completely configurational, right? We need to just set up a domain controller from a completely, and I'm going to move my laptop to the side here. Oh my goodness, that could have been tragic. Page not found. Oh, we're back. Okay, found it. Click connect. Allow. It's a Guacamole RDP instance. I'm gonna go full screen here just to make sure I'm not leaking anything that I shouldn't. I think we're okay where we are. Okay, we're good. Okay, so back here, and I'm actually gonna open some notes on my other screen to make sure I'm doing this properly, because I have done builds before, and this is going to be relatively raw. But I just don't want to make mistakes, and I don't want to make that many mistakes and sort of cost the time of you guys. So let's go back over to the desktop. And we are on a Windows Server 2022 machine. And if we open a terminal, it shouldn't be configured yet, I don't think. It may actually have a host name. No, it doesn't even have a host name yet. So as you can see, this is just like an AWS machine, an EC2 machine. And while we configured the host name in the other pane, like you may have caught it, but I had DC01 and WK01 for Workstation 01. You may have caught that. And apparently I thought those might have translated over, but they do not. But yeah, so we just have to start completely from scratch, completely new boot of Windows Server 2022. And so what do we do? So the first thing we need to do is actually promote it to a domain controller. So we need to go to, I believe it's server settings, server manager. Yeah, the whole point of this stream is kind of be getting the foundation for the Active Directory environment. It's gonna be pretty short. I want to keep these streams relatively short and bite size because I think the hour, 2 hour streams can just get really overwhelming. And sure, you could binge watch it, but probably probably not very entertaining. So manage, add roles and features. Maybe. I think maybe it's still loading. Maybe we have to wait a little bit. Yeah, this is going to be a very raw look into what it's like to build. I think it's a very, very interesting concept. I don't think there's much documentation on any of this. These just turned red. I don't know if that's a good sign, bad sign. There we go. Okay, add roles. So we're going to add roles. We're going to click next, role based. We're going to send me this server next. So this is where we actually choose Active Directory. So we're going to choose Active Directory, oops, cancel, not certificate services. If we were doing like an ESC9 through, I don't even know how many attacks there are now on certificate services, but there's a ton. If we want to do any of those attacks, that is where we would do them. On one of my previous boxes, you would know there is an ESC1 privilege escalation technique. But since we are not actually doing that for this box, we already have our path. We don't really need to install that. So we're going to install Active Directory domain services, click add features, next. next. Don't really want Azure, we can go next. And then I think that's fine. We can allow automatic restarts and then click install. So let's go install. Yash, how we doing? How's it going? Hopefully you're having a good day so far. Tune into this chill stream. I think that's really the goal of me streaming. When I first started doing streams, I think it was only a few weeks ago. I think the goal was really just to give another side to my content. I think my content's very structured. Like it's very outlined. It's very, you know, this is main point one, this is main point two, main point three, and that's how I outline my videos. Like I have a hook, I have an intro, I have the 3 main points, and then I have an outro. That's kind of how all my videos are outlined. I think by streaming, it just gives another perspective and it gives a different look onto kind of who I am. And I think that's cool. And for what it's worth, I enjoy streaming so much more than making videos. I think it's, at least when it comes to interacting with people. Yeah, sure, good, that's good. I'm glad it's been a good day. It's been a pretty good day here as well. Been a pretty good day here as well. But yeah, like it just gives it's a lot easier to interact with people and to, you know, say hi to people. Not gonna lie, Bala, that's a hard name to read. Balaj. See, the problem is it looks like there's 3 names here. And I don't know which one you want to go by here. So this is tough, but hope you're doing well. How's your day going so far? Am I on Instagram? I am on Instagram under the same handle, nsec. And I do post a different content there. It's not the same as YouTube. So go check out my Instagram if you want a little more personal side of it. Anyways, after this installs, we're gonna click promote the server to domain controller. Remember, this is DC01, so we do need to make this a domain controller. We're going to add a new forest, I think. Add a domain controller. Yeah, we don't have an existing domain, and we don't have a forest. So we need to go, so this is kind of where we choose our domain name. And we want to go Duet. This is gonna be a Hack Smarter lab. I don't know if Tyler wants it to be duet.local or Hack Smarter. I'm just gonna go, I think my other ones have been .local. So we're just gonna go local. So that's gonna be the domain name. So click next. It's gonna be the new forest, which is very cool. 2016, that's the latest version, that's fine. Passwords for DSRM. I don't think this really matters. I will say, I guess I should have like an admin password. I don't have that yet. I am keeping notes here on my second screen just so I can come back to this. Let me make an administrator and let me make an administrator password. Okay. Please tell me I can copy paste this. Copy. Ho ho ho! Nice. That's great. DNS. We just click next. NetBIOS, this should auto-populate. I got access to OCP labs before completing the labs. I lost access to the OCP labs. I've seen all your videos suggest me the best way to crack OCP. I have already scheduled my exam on May 1st. Well, that's coming up. NetBIOS, I mean, Duet, that looks right. I would say, so you lost access to the labs themselves. That's tough. That's interesting that you can schedule the exam but still lose access to the labs, Bala. I mean, honestly, I think there's a ton of great resources out there to help you, um, despite losing access to the exams or to the labs rather. So I think if I was in your situation, I would just try to do as many practical boxes as possible. Like I'd do a bunch of Hack the Box, I would do a bunch of Try Hack Me, Volum Lab, though I don't think they're free anymore. So take that with a grain of salt. But like there's a bunch of lists out there, and I forget the exact name of the list, but there's a bunch of lists for OSCP, like Hack the Box recommended boxes to root and to do for the OSCP. So I check out those lists, do some research on that. And my OBS quality is bad. Is it? Does it look bad? Hold on, let me go to the stream. Is it really bad? Is it bad for everyone else? Holy cow, my bitrate is so high. Yo. My gosh. 360p? That's not good. Sans Logic, how's it going? Hack Smarter as well. Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, TJ Knowles list, Hack Smarter. I don't know how I forgot about Hack Smarter. I'm literally making a machine for them. Okay, let me fix my bitrate here. Hopefully I don't have to restart the stream. I'm 6,000 kilobytes per second over the suggested bitrate. Do some editing here. Let me do that. All right, apply. Let's see if that fixes it. See if that fixes it. I don't know if I can actually fix it live. We'll see. But that's actually such a shame that it's in 360p. Is that really the only option? The heck? OBS live stream is a beast. Apparently, maybe it just takes a second to kick in. Because if I'm gonna do this, I don't want it to be 360p. Let me go back to settings. Output. I may have to restart the stream here. Okay, guys. Stay here. I'm going to restart the stream and see if it works. And then we'll be back. All right,